Hi, everyone. This is Mike Leibovitz, Head of Americas, CTO Office here at Extreme Networks. Welcome to the IT Warriors channel. I'm going to be your MC for all of the content over the coming 2 days. We're really excited to have all of you here. We know that some of you may have questions while you're watching our content. You'll see a chat window that's being monitored live. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have in real time. There's also going to be a live Q&A session with a number of leaders from Extreme Networks at the end of each day. We invite you to participate and join us to ask more questions and to hear from all of us live as well. Not only am I the MC for the IT Warriors channel, but I'm also here to present the very first session of the day. Joining me is a really great colleague of mine. I'm super excited to have Alexandra Gates, introduce herself.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Alexandra Gates, Director of Product Marketing. Really happy to be in this first session today on the IT Warriors channel. We're going to be talking about Effortless in action. And with that, Mike, I'll kick back over to you to start directly with the content.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, Alex. Effortless in action is really what the key theme's all about. On the IT Warrior channel, you're going to hear and see a lot of demonstrations from us. We're really going to show you not just the value at Extreme Networks, but how to access the value. And all of you out there that are users or network administrators, you're going to learn a lot of material from us. But just to set up the conversation before we show you some fantastic demos, let's just talk about really what's happening, not just within our daily lives, what's happening all around the world. Certainly, there's a lot of different challenges that are out there today, a lot of different changes that have been happening through all sorts of organizations, businesses all around the world, not just because of the pandemic that we've been living through, but for a variety of reasons that surround the way that networks change the way we work, the way we live, and certainly the way we play as well. But the challenges aren't getting any smaller. Certainly from a security standpoint, more attacks, more and more attacks that are happening. And as people start coming back from working at home, back into their organization, how are you from an IT perspective, from a security perspective, going to be ready to address and meet the growing security needs? A lot of organizations are spending less. And certainly as you're trying to secure your company, your organization, as you're trying to provide better experiences for end users, having a reduced budget makes it far more challenging to succeed. A lot of IT leaders are really talking about IT capabilities that just aren't there yet. And when we say IT capabilities, we're really talking about skill. Is the skill there for your end users, for the network administrators, for those that are trying to build and create excellent and successful user experiences? You could see the statistics as we light them up. 74% of executives say that they have a digital transformation or some sort of transformative strategy for their organization, yet only 15% believe they have the skills to deliver on that. When you put all those pieces together, the challenges that are out there, where your business is trying to get to, where you're trying to achieve from an outcome perspective, and you realize very quickly you may not have the time, the budget, or the skill to get there, there's a lot of concerns, a lot of growing concerns. From an extreme perspective, we recognize that meeting the challenges requires more than just technology, more than just products, more than just hardware. There are three words that you'll hear us use a lot of times as we present. Those words are simple, intuitive, consistent. We're talking about the effortless experience. And here we're going to really show you what effortless is in action. But meeting those challenges, three key criteria is being able to master emerging technologies, new technologies, being able to not just deploy technologies, but really leverage them to their full capacity. You need to be able to master the use of real-time data. Data is really more and more becoming much like air. We need air to live. Data becomes very much the air, the oxygen for our businesses, for our business functions, and being able to master the use of that data is more and more critical. And then as we described, the skill required to execute becomes that much higher in a data-led world. So when we think about networking and building infrastructure, communication infrastructure, that's really the foundational aspect what we build on top of that are the outcomes, the experiences that come from it. And in between is that layer, really that data layer. So being able to harness the data out of the infrastructure and be able to leverage it to make better decisions, better business outcomes as a result of those data sets. But the real question is, why does it have to be so complicated? Why does our world, the networking world, the communications industry, why does it have to be so complex, so complicated? There has to be an easier way. And maybe, Alex, you have some thoughts to share with everybody out there around what we think about the effortless experience.
Definitely. And I like the point that you made that effortless experience isn't necessarily just about the technology. It's not just about, the wireless access points or the switches that you're deploying. There's a lot of different components that work together to create this effortless experience that we're working towards at Extreme. And we've, broken out some of the components here. And the goal over the next 40 minutes or so is that we're actually going to show you some of these effortless experiences in action. So actually dive into the interface, show you what an example of universal hardware is, how that's going to simplify your life, talk about portable licensing, warranty and maintenance, or the actual service that we're providing. A lot of time we're going to spend on management and orchestration because that's going to pull together all those key concepts that Mike was just talking about on the slide before, the simplicity, intuitive, and consistency across these product lines, across these goals that you might have for your organization. So again, instead of just talking about these concepts, we really want to show you what they look like in action.
For sure, Alex. And when we think about user experience, and when you look at the center of the slide, when we talk about user, there's really three personas, if you will, that we're thinking about. The first persona would be the buyer. Those of you that may be out there that are making the decision to invest in technology, the network administrators, those that actually use the technology, and then of course the end user, those that are experiencing the technology as well. Today, in this particular session, we're going to focus pretty heavily on the second and third personas. It's not to say that the buyers aren't important. Of course, buyers are important, but we're really going to focus on what it is to set up an infrastructure with Extreme, how easy, how simple, how intuitive and consistent it is to build, to operate, and to set up a network infrastructure, and then be able to deliver those incredible and excellent user experiences from Extreme Networks. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm super excited by all the demonstrations that we have, and I couldn't be happier to have Alex here to do the demonstrations because she is far more capable of doing fantastic demonstrations than I am. But the first one that we're going to go into is really starting is effortless. We want to show you how easy it is to get started with Extreme Networks. And why don't we jump right into that, Alex?
The first demo, I'm going to show how effortless it is to get started. So right now I'm on extremecloudiq.com on the login page. You can see at the bottom I have the option to register for an account here. And that's going to take me to a form where it asks for some personal information. And then down below I have the ability to decide if I want an account with an unlimited data horizon or if I want access to 90 days of historical data within my account. So unlimited means that you will have access directly to all of the data that's moved through your network directly from the Extreme Cloud IQ interface. So if, say, you have a 3-year cloud license, by the end of that 3-year term, you would have 3 years of data. That means client traffic, network traffic, troubleshooting data, accessible directly from this system. With 90 days, it will store and automatically give you access to 90 days of historical data. In addition, of course, in both of those to real-time data. And again, that's just giving you more flexibility in how you want to interact and access the data that's moving through your network on a daily basis. Below that, you can even choose to send a copy of your registration to an Extreme Networks representative or partner if you want them to help you get started, or if you want someone to have external admin access eventually. That's a good way to show them that you've signed up for an account. You accept the cloud terms of service, register for an account, And just for the sake of time, I'm going to move over to the account I just created to show you what it looks like to simulate a device. So you can create an account, come in here and simulate a device before you've even made a purchase from Extreme. If you want to test out the system, see how it works, and get more familiar with the interface. So I'm going to click on Onboard up in this upper left-hand corner. I can choose to simulate a device, move through the different choices. I'm going to go ahead and choose the AP305C, one of our 802.11ax models, and then work through these prompts. So I can create an organization where I want to tie this in terms of location. I'm going to skip this one just for time. And then if I want to assign branch IDs from a routing perspective, I can also do that. But I'm going to go ahead and move through to creating a policy name. So this is Extreme Connect. I'm going to create a Connect demo network. I'm going to choose to use an internal and a guest access for this example. And I do also have the option to use an existing policy if I had one. Since this is a brand new account, I don't. So I'm going to move through the prompts here. So now I have a Connect demo internal SSID. I can create a password, enter that in. And I can also, if again, I have some other systems set up, I can allow users to enter certain credentials. So say you have 802.1x certificate set up, you can interface with a system like that. For the guest, I'm going to do, they can access without logging in. We do not recommend this, but just for ease, I'm going to use it in this example. Now I've gotten to Connect demo internal and guest. I'm going to finish that policy, and you'll see that it's already popped up now in my tab. If I wanted to then go back and make changes to it, I could go into the configure area and work through some of the systems that we have set up within Extreme Cloud IQ. But again, even before I've purchased even a license to the cloud or a piece of hardware, I can go in and get fairly familiar with what's happening in the cloud and make sure that I know exactly where I can do certain policies or feature sets. And again, make yourself more familiar with the product offering.
I love the fact that starting is just so effortless that you can jump right in and really start your journey with Extreme and jumping out into the cloud. I'm sure that many that are out there are starting to think, well, what if I don't have any of my network or any of my technologies today that are connected in the cloud? Is it really that simple? You know, once I have an account, can I start building a network? Can I do something if I have any of the existing equipment, any of the gear from Extreme? Is there something that you think, Alex, that we might be able to show everyone here?
We're going to take things a step further to show that building is simple. So you've gotten started with an account. Now maybe you want to add more infrastructure devices. I can go back to that onboard wizard that I showed earlier, or from within the Manage tab, I can quick add devices. And so I'm going to change this. Now I'm adding a real device that I've purchased. The device make is VOS. I'm going to paste in the serial number here. I can add a location and add it to floor 1 here. Add a policy, effortless experience, and then I'm going to go ahead and add device. So it says one device was added successfully. It's going to take a little bit of time to connect to the cloud. And in the meantime, I want to show you an existing Exos product that has already been onboarded into this cloud account. So I'm going to click on to the X440 G2. And now this has been added. It was applied to the effortless experience policy again. And now this is kind of a switch 360 view. And this is a really great example of us integrating different product lines into the cloud. when Extreme purchased Aerohive 12 months ago and they rebranded the Hive Manager NG platform into Extreme Cloud IQ, we could only manage and view Aerohive devices. But over the last 12 months, we've really been dedicated to building that portfolio, integrating everything into the cloud, and making it an effortless experience for you. So we're doing the back-end work of consolidating these product lines, funneling them up into the cloud in terms of capabilities, and here's a great example on the screen of what that looks like now. So left-hand side, I can see the location of where this switch is, how long it's been connected, the active alarms or unique clients connected, CPU usage or memory usage. And then on the right-hand side, I can see more detailed information about what's going on with this switch. So across the top, I can see some CPU utilizations over time, memory utilization. Scrolling down, I can see a port view, some different components with statuses. If I move over to configure, I can see even more information or the capabilities I can achieve. So I can make device configuration changes if I want. If I want to do it a little more visually, I can do port configuration, go down here, change port usage in VLAN, for example. I can even SSH directly into this device. But again, going back over to the monitor view, in this case, I can see exactly who's connected, the host name if there is, client MAC, port, IPv4, diagnostic events here directly from this interface. If there's any alarms, luckily there's not any here, but I can actually fix these problems directly from this switch view under managed devices. Let's see if there was any recent events. One minor and one that has already been cleared. So you can see kind of what was happening, the description of what happened. So this view here, this switch view under managed devices is kind of the single source of truth of everything that's happening with this X440 G2. Again, this is the Exos product. We just onboarded a VOS switch. We can do the same thing in terms of onboarding Wing devices and having visibility into what's happening with that access point. And right now we're building towards full configuration capabilities of that through the interface, just like we can do with these switches. Again, I can access this from the Configure tab here, or as I showed in the last demo, from the Configure tab up here on the left navigation. So it looks like our VSP switch is here. The cloud connection is green. Because I just onboarded this, there's not going to be a lot of data, but you can see some basic information, and then on the right-hand side, again, that component and status breakdown. So again, one of the ways that we can show that building is simple. And next up, I wanted to give a brief demonstration, or at least explanation, of how we have portable licenses. So to show that, I'm going to navigate up to the silhouette button here, open up Global Settings, and then navigate down to License Management. So in this particular account, I have an entitlement key that's valid for 100 devices. I get some special entitlement keys because I work here, so this one valid for 10 years. But the most important thing to point out here is that I have an entitlement key again for 100 devices, but that's not tied to specific serial numbers. I don't have to enter that I want this license to apply to this serial number and it's fixed like that for the rest of the life of the license. So again, if I go back to, manage devices, I can see that I have 4 devices in here in Extreme Cloud IQ. So I can load another 96 devices in. It can be a mix of access points, switches, and routers. It doesn't matter. And if for some reason I want to get rid of 50 of those devices in a couple years and load new products, so maybe a new standard, new capabilities come out, I would simply detach those 50 serial numbers from the cloud, add new products in, and those licenses would still be fully functional. So again, that portability and that flexibility associated with the license and the entitlement keys really does make building or expanding your network a lot simpler than with other systems that you might have experienced before. So at this point, I'm going to jump in to one of our beta accounts actually to show off some universal hardware capabilities. You might have heard some of the other sessions mention this. We're very excited about this launch. So I want to show you what that actually looks like in the interface. All right, so I just clicked over from the live version of Extreme Cloud IQ into a development preview where I want to show you a mock-up of universal hardware. You've probably heard this in some of the other main stage sessions already, but this is a great way to simplify the buying experience. And again, building your network is going to be more streamlined and it's going to be simpler. So I just clicked on an alert saying that we're onboarding devices. You can see a variety of device models listed out here, AP7532, 410, the X435, and 5520 in terms of switches. And you'll notice that for two of those, there is a persona column to the right, and that is actually going to allow me to change the OS based on what I want those hardware devices to be able to do. So again, with this universal hardware ideas, we're going to be selling a single box and it can take on different personas. So within Extreme Cloud IQ, in terms of wireless, right now we can do Wing functionality or the legacy Arrowhive, which is more of the inherent cloud APs. And then on the switching side, we have the Exos and VOS capabilities. And right now I actually just changed that to VOS. So if I want a different software feature set, I can change that. Same thing for the AP410. I just changed that from Wing to IQ Engine, which is that cloud engine. And then I can even change it back. So there's complete flexibility. The licenses will apply to all the OS types. So again, we have that fixed cost license. It's not tied to a serial number. It's not tied to a piece of hardware. And now it's not even tied to an OS persona. And you can see down at the bottom, it's telling me how many advanced OS licenses I have. I can manage licenses if I want to add any more. Or again, I can move and translate those between devices, whether that be, again, an access point, a router, or a switch. It doesn't matter. And if you want to upgrade devices in the future, you can do that with a single license key as well. The goal here, again, is to simplify the SKUs, simplify the amount of devices that you have to choose from, giving you a single piece of hardware that you can then change directly in the cloud is going to hopefully simplify your life as a network administrator. Now I've opened up the Advanced OS Licenses tab, and this is where you can see that I can actually check or uncheck certain devices. So if I have something in production, I need to have a license applied to that. I can do that here. I can move the licenses as well. So I showed you earlier how you have the entitlement keys, you can move them. This is a more, again, visual representation, easier way to go in and make those changes on your own without any direct assistance from someone at Extreme.
I really love all those demos. I'm almost blown away at just how simple we're making it to build a network, whether it's wired, wireless, or both, wired and wireless for existing customers, and even moving into new technology and making the licenses portable. Alex, great. I just love this set of demonstrations. Any kind of color comment you want to add in, something that I missed?
Yeah, so obviously I spend a lot of time in the cloud product, and I did some prep work last night so that I could kind of move into the demo quickly. But I just forgot how easy it actually is to create a network policy. I added that effortless experience one to tie into the title of this session, obviously, and I'm not, I don't spend as much time in brand new accounts. So it was actually kind of cool for me to go back and see, how far we've come in terms of being able to get something up so quickly. Of course, it's not effortless to deploy a network, but we're just trying to simplify it. And that's kind of the good part about me being able to go back and refresh and jump back into the start of the product.
It's always great to go back to the beginning and realize that things are even easier and that you don't need to retrain or take a book out. It's a great example of how we're making things even more effortless than perhaps some customers that are out there may have seen if they were setting up cloud accounts or cloud systems previously. So we got more. That's not it. We're not just talking about how easy it is to start and how easy it is to build. And some people would use terminology like day zero and day one, but there's more to this conversation because it's not just about plugging in an access point or a switch and associating a license and an account and getting things up and running and building a network and doing that in an effortless manner. But the bigger question is what happens after the network's built? How do we operate the network? How intuitive can we make it? I have a pretty funny feeling that Alex is going to show us a set of demonstrations of just how intuitive it is to operate an extreme network. Why don't we go to that demonstration?
Since we're talking about how operating is intuitive, I think the best demo for this one is to start in our Network 360 tool. So this one is under ML Insights, Network 360 Monitor. And on this view, you have a look at what's happening on the network. It's a great place to start when you log in. Very quickly see if everything looks like it's working well, or if maybe you need to dive in and spend some time updating the network or troubleshooting. So across the top, I have some health status cards broken out into different categories. And then down below, I have the ability to look at a global view of all my locations if I have multiple, or I can drill into a specific, in this case, store. We have some labs set up. So I can see the actual map of what floor plan I'm looking at right now. But again, those health scores at the top, they're color-coded. Green is obviously good. Yellow is you're kind of in the middle. Red, that means you need to make some changes to your network because something is going wrong. In terms of what these categories are associated with, again, I see a generic score across the top, but if I want more details on what's happening or what is kind of coming together to create that score, I can click on this and get a more detailed look at what's happening. I can change the period of time that I want to drill down into. If I want to have more of a historical look, I can do that. But then down here, I can see things like the client health, any issues, client connectivity via spectrums, channel distribution, and even the maximum client capabilities. So what all of my clients on the network can achieve in terms of their functionality. And this is really great to level set for network administrators to make sure that they're serving their clients appropriately. So this is just one of the different status cards that I can click into. Down below, I can see things like who's connected to a particular access point. I can see their health score very quickly. I can look at a time lapse of clients. So as these different APs light up with these blooms, that's showing me that there are clients moving around the facility. So a lot of interesting things that you can see from this Network 360 view. I can also open up a topology view to look at where my access points are connecting in terms of the switches, if they're connected to a router, out to a VPN, and back to the internet. So a lot of good information here. I can click on a specific connection to see the connection speed. If I want to take an action, get information on the port, I can do the same thing by clicking on a particular access point, for example. So I can see again who's connected to this AP, what VLANs they're assigned to, any alarms. If I want to take action or reboot, I can do that directly from this tool. But again, we want to make sure that this is intuitive. We're providing what we think is the right information to the network administrators, and they can navigate through this system as they wish. Another interesting feature, and there's a lot of different ways that you can access it, is Client 360. So I see some hyperlinks down here of clients that are either currently connected or have recently been into this lab. And I see one I want to pick on right now, of course, my co-presenter, Mike. Looks like he was in the lab in Toronto. So I'm going to open up his Client 360 view. And in this view, I can see it's an iPhone. I can see how long he was connected to that store access point, which one he was connected to, a mini topology view across the top. So his phone was connected to this access point, to this switch, router, VPN. And then down below, a little more detailed information about his connectivity. You might think this looks a bit similar to that switch 360 view I showed earlier, and that is the case. We have these different 360 drill downs for different aspects of the network, whether it be an application, a client, a device. So again, trying to keep that consistency, but again, making it intuitive to understand and understand what you're actually seeing within this system. Down below, I can see session details and information. We even have some comparative analytics on the right-hand side to benchmark, in this case, Mike's iPhone performance against other devices that he might be near within the lab. And these are also color-coded to give a very quick assessment if his performance is good or if maybe we need to make some tweaks either to the network policy or how he's connecting to the network. You can also see if he made any roaming decisions, so if he was walking around the lab or maybe moving between to get some work done. So I can see, again, color-coded information. I can drill down if I want to see if there was any problems with association or authentication. Looks like he might have had a little DNS problem because those are showing up red. But again, trying to show information that we think is helpful. They can choose to utilize it or not as you move through this. Let's see, the network usage at the bottom, his top applications, I can look at those. And then also it looks like he's on an 802.11 AC device, single stream client, up to 80 megahertz bandwidth support. And he's used 1.4 gigabits of data over his past session. And let's see, Tim Hortons, so it looks like he was maybe placing an order there. Olympic curling, okay. Maple Leafs, I'm guessing that's some sort of sports team from Canada. Trailer Park Boys, I don't know if I want to know what that is. Celine Dion. So this is the most Canadian application traffic I've ever seen. Mike, I think you might have some explaining to do of what you're doing when you're in this lab. It doesn't look like you were preparing for this session, but we'll save that for another day. So I'm going to close that out. Again, intuitive. I could very quickly see what Mike was doing. And maybe if I don't want him going to those applications, I could go and make an application rule blocking those or throttling him. So maybe he spends more time working on his effortless experience presentation rather than surfing the web. No, it might have been after hours. We did not look. But last thing I want to show you under this operating is intuitive is under the Manage tab. And if I go down to Tools, I'm going to jump into our Client Monitor. And again, I'm going to change the time frame so I have a little bit of a broader scope of what I'm looking at. And this is a really great tool that proactively monitors the network for any problems that a client might be having. And if I click on one of them, as an example, it's going to show me when those problems occurred, a description of the problem. It looks like the PPSK, or the authentication key, didn't match what it should be. So they were entering the wrong password. The suggested remedy: ensure that the passphrase entered matches what is configured. So that's a really great suggestion there. I can take action from here if I need to maybe escalate it to someone else or send an email that they're entering the wrong password. This is just one of the many issues that might pop up in this client manager tool. But again, just one of those things that we've integrated into the system free of charge to make it a lot more intuitive to operate and take a lot of the guesswork out of network management. Mike, I'm so sorry. I saw your name down there, had to click on it. I know this is our lab, so it could have been totally testing on an iPhone, but you're never going to want to present with me again. So I apologize.
Well, obviously it's a lab, because if it was production, everyone knows that I'd be on my BlackBerry, not on my iPhone. But if I have to go through all of it, yes, the Maple Leafs is a sports team, not a very good one, but we watch them anyways. Curling, it's got to be Olympic if you're going to do any sort of curling. Tim Hortons, absolutely, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Maybe I get a free coupon if they're watching out there. What else did we hit on? Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, yeah. concert, maybe.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. I love how you demonstrated just how intuitive it is to operate a network. Of course, we want it to be intuitive for the network administrators, the users of the network and our cloud system, but we want to equally be able to derive just how good the experience is. And I love the fact that you picked on DNS at one point, highlighting that it was red. We all know that the network and Wi-Fi specifically is always to blame from a network user's perspective, an end user's perspective, but there are services that may not be working in real time, like DNS, that will create very poor experiences. And being able to pinpoint that needle in a haystack is very, very key. And you can see just how quickly and how easily Alex was able to find that needle in a haystack, which potentially could have been a real upsetting factor for an end user of one of your network infrastructure. So we have one more set of demonstrations to show you, because what wouldn't be demonstrations if there wasn't just one more thing to show? And I love the next section that Alex has prepared. It's really about the experience, how we can do more than just manage networks. Everybody really thinks about buying infrastructure, deploying infrastructure, operating infrastructure, but there has to be something more. At the beginning of this presentation, we were talking about data, we were talking about cloud. You've heard us talk about unlimited data and being able to use these data sets to drive business outcomes and certainly better user experiences for everyone. Here we're going to show you a couple of demonstrations on how you can drive greater experiences, how you can make things more consistent for those end users, and certainly for yourself as you drive to this effortless experience. Why don't we take a look at the last set of demos, Alex, if you're ready, if your fingers aren't too tired yet. One more set of demos for the audience would be great.
Now I'm going to jump into our last set of demos to show that the experience is consistent as well. So I'm in an Extreme Cloud IQ account right now, and this is a special preview account to show the containerization of some of the Extreme applications that you know and love. So recently we switched from kind of a top navigation pane here more to a left side navigation, and the reason for that was because we do have plans to add those Extreme applications into the cloud. So as we expand that application portfolio, we'll simply add new icons here that you can navigate. So if you're familiar with Extreme Cloud IQ, you may have seen A3 integrated if you're utilizing that for cloud-based NAC. And then recently we've added 3 more. And again, this is not in launch yet, but we are really excited to release this very soon. There will be more sessions going into these tools in more detail, but I wanted to give you a preview here again to show that we're creating consistency among the product lines and creating this single pane of glass where you can view and interoperate between different features and tools that Extreme has to offer. So I've moved into Air Defense, which is our comprehensive wireless intrusion prevention system. And this is what we're calling Air Defense Essentials. So we're starting to move feature sets into here in the cloud. So you can see on the screen that I have an alarms overview. I can also break that down by severity, and then you can also tie that to different location views. And then again on this map, I have the breakdown of the severity of the alarms. Down below, I have more statistics on what type of alarm is being set off, how frequently we're seeing them, or which ones we're seeing are most prevalent, and then alarm count by location. So this is focused mostly on visibility into what's happening, and as we integrate more of the features into here, we'll be able to take action directly, and Hardik's actually going to preview some of that in his session as well. And then moving on to Extreme Guest. This one is the configurable onboarding for wireless networks. And I really like some of the statistics that are called out here. So across the top, I can see number of guests, how many are currently online, endpoints, what method, if they use social login to authenticate to the network. And then down below, see things like total users, how many of them are new versus returning to a specific location. I can see how much time they're spending here. Again, the visitors broken down based on day or even historical data as well. And then some demographic information like gender and age. So getting, again, more specific guest data drilled up directly into the cloud. So again, this is just accessible from another icon. These are going to be included directly in the cloud, so it's not going to be separate licenses, separate feature sets that you need to pay for. And then the last one here is extreme location. And this one is a great way to engage customers with multi-tier indoor location services. And we'll give you a preview of what's included in the Essentials package in the cloud. So again, kind of similar to guests, but now I can see the dwell time, and then I can also coordinate that with a map location. So we have two different sites here. I can see the least visited versus most visited. So if you have lots of locations, you can see that from a more global perspective from the map. And then down below, looking at first versus repeat users, engagement trends. This one's cool. You can see who's actually come inside, gotten on the network, who comes inside but doesn't necessarily associate or authenticate, who's just passing by the store based on pings from their mobile devices. And then down here, some more statistics looking at different locations that you have set up, different categories. You can label those based on location and then duration over a period of time. So again, we're really starting to integrate these rich data sets based on different applications to create a more consistent experience. You don't have to jump between tools. You can simply log into the cloud and you'll be able to access all of the data and analytics that you want and hopefully translate that into intelligence that's going to increase your business ROI. And next I'm going to click over into a new tab to give you another preview, and this one is on our Fabric integration that we are working towards. So I just clicked over to a development preview of a system that is not in production yet, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek. So this is an overview of a new day zero onboarding deployment system. And what I want to show you first is a Fabric 360 view. And one of the ways that you can access this view is by going to the search bar across the top. And the search bar does already exist in Extreme Cloud IQ and the systems that I've already been showing. And I'm going to navigate down to the Fabric topology. So you can see I can click into a couple different things already, but I think this is the best representation to give you an idea of what this is going to look like. This is kind of the plans we're drawing up right now, again, to integrate that Fabric solution that Extreme's so well known for into the cloud system. So again, right now we have Fabric 360, and this is a San Jose campus, but it's showing not just a single location, but kind of the hierarchy among distributed sites. So with Fabric, it's not just a data center location, but it also can encompass a campus, different branches, especially with, again, this new normal that we're living in. There's more distributed sites. People are working from home or smaller remote locations that they might not have been working from before. And the benefit of Fabric is it gives a more consistent way to deliver faster network changes, and it's more secure and more stable as well. So from this view, you can see that there's different color-coded devices. On here, the purple is showing Fabric Attach, and the blue is the XA product. So this is going to be our software-focused products. You can also interface with some of the devices that are showing up. So just as I showed in the topology view in the live Extreme Cloud IQ pilot earlier, I can click on some of the connections and some of those devices as well to get further details. So if I right click, I can get information on some of the connectivity status, the VLANs, device alarms, and then if I click into a device, I open up a device 360. And again, this should look similar to that device 360 I opened from the Manage tab back in Extreme Cloud IQ, again in that live version. So trying to create a consistent experience and enhance that consistency across all of the product lines.
I love it. Amazing, amazing work, Alex, and certainly to everybody at Extreme, all of our developers, our product execution team. There's so much work that we've been putting into really creating an effortless experience, bringing our entire portfolio together into the cloud, offering bigger and better services on top of it. And certainly we've given you a little bit of a glimpse as to what else is coming. All of this is for you. All of this is for our customers. Again, we touched on the personas, the buyer, the user, the network administrators, and those that are the end users that are really experiencing the overall outcome. When we think about it, it's not just a product that we're bringing to market, an access point, a switch, a cloud UI, a guest system. It's everything put together in a way that is experiential for you, our customers, and really to help build that relationship between Extreme and each one individually of our customers, one at a time, as we go on this journey to the effortless experience together. We absolutely implore all of you to watch the rest of the sessions on the IT Warrior channel today and tomorrow. There's another set of channels where there's equally great information, great presenters, areas that you will absolutely want to explore with Extreme Networks. For now, I certainly want to thank you for spending the time with both Alex and I to learn more about the effortless experience. As we said, effortless in action. Hopefully all these demonstrations that we've shown you over the last 45 minutes really brings home and shows you how to access the value here at Extreme Networks, leading us towards the effortless experience.